Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unstuck Movement. I am your host, Rob Z. This platform was created for you to break the chains that have been holding you back in your life. So if there's, things in your life that you need breakthrough in, how do you get past those plateaus, those glass ceilings that have been holding you back and keeping you stuck? The whole point of this platform is I find people who have amazing stories of breakthrough. We come on the podcast and we talk about how they got unstuck from those difficult places in their life to give you the motivation, the courage, and the perseverance and the proof that you can do it for yourself. I have to shout out the Connected Leaders Academy. The Connected Leaders Academy is the sponsor for this podcast. It's an amazing organization full of tons of incredible entrepreneurs. Contact Jose Escobar and find out what the Connected Leaders Academy is all about for yourself. It's been incredibly beneficial for me, my business, and my life. And right now, I want to introduce to you Deb Krier. So Deb, the guest today, is a stage 4 triple positive breast cancer and thyroid cancer survivor. Amazing. Reshaping the cancer narrative through her warrior spirit and advocacy. Deb founded Wise Women Communications, LLC, an acclaimed PR and marketing firm, and hosts the long-standing podcast, The Business Power Hour, nearing its 900th episode. Deb's mission is to inspire cancer patients to harness their inner strength, amplify their voices, and broaden their horizons. Deb, thank you so much for being a part of the Unstuck Movement.
I am so delighted and honored to be here. We're going to have such a great conversation.
Absolutely. And I love to start our conversations with a question.
Mm-hmm.
You ask better questions in life, you get better answers, and you find that breakthrough that you need. And the question I want to ask you today, very important for your story and what you've gone through, is what changes when you decide to live? Because I know this is a big part of your story. Choosing to live and not to die. So what changed when you decided to live?
Well, it was one of those things, clearly we never planned to be sick or to have cancer or anything like that. And initially I had every complication you could possibly have. And there were actually 3 times where it was, not good. I was told at one point I wouldn't make it through the day. And I was like, excuse me. But when we have something very serious that happens to us, we get so focused on that we forget that what we really need to be doing is living our lives. Maybe that's 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 50 years. What can we do to be living our lives as opposed to waiting for something to happen, waiting to die, waiting to get a new job, waiting to get whatever. We need to be living our lives every single second.
Yeah, very true. And man, talk about living your life. Like, what does it mean to live your life, right? So a lot of us live our lives, but never really live.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't realize that until it's too late. And I think that might look different for all of us. What does it mean for you to truly live your life?
I made quite a few decisions, especially when it was like, okay, I am going to get through this. So now what? A big part of it was, getting rid of the toxic people in my life. And, some of them are still there for whatever reason, but you downplay them. You are around them as little as possible. Really have a positive outlook. It's something where we tend to forget that if we're thinking, ew, blah, the world is coming to an end, then the world will come to an end. But if we're looking for the positives, even at the worst of times, it can make things so much more fun, and it's really weird to be thinking about, hey, you're dealing with cancer and you're having fun. I had treatment yesterday, 8 years into this, I'm still having treatment. And the nurses in the oncology center, we have now decided my name is no longer Deb Krier. It is Princess Anastasia Beaverhausen. And, and I got to get a crown, right? I really need to go in but it's, what can we do to make other people laugh? What can
Mhm.
we do to make them feel that we love them, that we care? And, because let's face it, it's kind of an icky time in this world.
Yeah.
So what can we do to make things better for somebody else?
Well, Princess Anastasia Beaverheisen. Beaverheisen?
Beaverhausen, Beaverhausen, yeah.
Beaverhausen. Sorry, Beaver. I wrote it right and said it wrong. Oh, I love that. That's so fun. So yeah, you're right. The times we're living in, depending on where you're looking. Yeah,
Mhm,
this is where I always go back to because I can find myself getting wrapped up in it too.
mhm,
What is going on in my 5 foot world? In my
right.
5 foot world of the things that I can physically have my hands on,
Mhm,
everything for the most part is
mhm,
really good. Like
mhm.
things are good. People are healthy. People are
Yay.
happy. I have friends. I
Mhm,
have people who are close to me that I love to be around. So
mhm,
when you think about it that way, and not everybody's like that. So I'm
mhm,
sensitive to that, right? But if our society is designed to like worry about people
mhm.
halfway across the world, what about
Right.
what's going on right now with
Mhm,
me? Not
mhm,
that I'm going to be self-absorbed in it, but like I can actually make a real impact
mhm,
on me and the people around
mhm.
me.
Right.
Is that something that with cancer, a gift and a curse? It seems like
Mhm,
you found a gift in it, the
mhm.
blessing in it.
Yeah. I mean,
Did that change for you, like as far as like how you showed up for people?
I would hope that I've always been like this, but I and I laugh and I tell people, I am an only child, good old Anastasia, right? She seems like she'd be an only child. But Deb Krier is an only child also. And so I tell people, that means in a lot of cases that you are more self-centered. And so
Uh-huh.
I have to stop and think, what about other people? What are they going through? And I really have to, there are times where it's like I need to remember to say thank you, to smile at people, all of those various things, and not be caught up in my own little world.
Mm,
And I'll be honest, sometimes my own little world sucks. So but what can we do to get out of it? And some of it is we turn off the phone, we turn off the TV, all of those things. And in some ways, I think if we were more self-centered, maybe it would be a good thing. If we really were thinking about how can we make the world a better place, even if it's just, those immediately around us, what effect would that have?
mm. What effect would it have? It's so true because like I try to make it a practice of this that I have a reminder on my phone, right? Because you
Mhm,
said you to remind yourself, like you have
mhm,
to remind yourself,
mhm.
recenter yourself, and this is
Right.
where my faith in God comes in. Is just like
Mhm,
okay, what I'm trying to get outside of me and
mhm.
trying to think about like other people,
Right.
and my life is only going to get better, and it's amazing how this happens. And I thought
Mhm,
this years ago. I heard Tony Robbins say this that like when you serve people, your life improves. When you give people
mhm.
value, your life improves. And I
Right.
was so self centered that I was like, how does that doesn't even
Mhm,
make any sense.
mhm,
And then the more that I do it, the more I'm like, oh, holy
mhm.
cow, right? The more that I help people, the
Right.
better I feel.
Right.
The more I listen to somebody else and
Mhm.
let them be heard, the
Yeah.
better I feel.
And sometimes
And
that's just smiling at somebody.
right.
Maybe they're having a really bad day and you might be the only person who smiles at them that day.
Right, exactly. On my, as I was going to say, on my phone, I have a reminder, and it
Mhm.
says, "Who am I encouraging today?"
Mm.
Just
I love
so
it.
I can send a message out, or like you
Mhm,
said, maybe it's encouraging somebody by
mhm,
smiling at them when you hold the door
mhm,
for them, or whatever, or telling them they look nice today, or whatever that
mhm,
might be. Because when somebody gives you that compliment, it might not, depending on what state you're in, it might be like, "Oh, that was nice," or if you're in a low state, that
mhm.
could change your whole day, it could change your
Right.
whole week, change your
Oh, yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to cancer and your struggles, and I mentioned the gift and the curse part of this. How did it shape your outlook on your own life? How did it shape your outlook on life in general? How I'm curious because you have such a positive attitude. I can tell just from talking to you here. How did it improve how things were for you? Because that's a very difficult situation that lots of people go
Mhm.
through, and a lot of people look at the negative ends of it. It seems like you found the light in there.
Well, it's interesting. Years ago, I worked for an oncologist and I also worked for the American Cancer Society. So I tell people I
Mm,
know just enough to be dangerous, right? When I started seeing those words coming across on like, online and things like that, it was like, oh, this is not good. Um, it is different to know that my expiration date is probably a lot sooner than many people. Stage 4 cancers in many cases are not considered curable. They are considered, they go into hiding and they come back at some point in time. Now I've made it past some of those dates, so that's good. I'm 8 years past my initial diagnosis.
Mm.
And so, and the thyroid cancer that I had in July of 2023 was not related, totally different cancer, right? That was fun. And, and now I said bad words. I said bad words when the doctor called to tell me, and she started laughing, and she said, "Yeah, that's why you're going to get through this." And I was very fortunate. We caught it so early. All I did was have my thyroid gland removed, and no treatment or anything like that. But it really does make you think. It's like you said, how can we support others? Planning long term is different. Long term is kind of like I plan for a year, because you never know. And but I tell people, yeah, you could get hit by a bus, no matter no matter what. So, but it is, you really do think about, okay, I'm thinking about when I'm in my 90s, may or may not happen. Now, other women in my family have lived far into their 90s, so hopefully, I will hit that. But you really do stop and think, okay, life is shorter, and so what can I do to make it better? Am I going to sit and think, oh my God, I have had, you're going to love this, 33 surgeries.
Wow.
And I'm hollow inside. I mean, and does it make life a challenge? Sure. But I can sit and I can go, oh my gosh. But like one of the things, somebody saw one of the scars that I have, and she totally freaked out. And I'm like, oh honey, I'm alive because I have this scar.
Mm.
And so it really is kind of, what is your outlook on life? And like I said, I mean, there are days where I am angry, where I am mad, where I am thinking, okay, I'm not going to be into my 90s, so that sucks. But it's like, okay, so what do we do now to make it better?
Yeah, gives you more of an urgency to
Hmm.
make things better.
Yeah,
I'm a
that
lot.
bucket list might not get shorter, but the dates are closer, right?
Yeah, you're alive because of the scars,
Hmm.
and that's like a metaphor for life in general. Like
Hmm.
the scars we have are
Right.
the things we've gotten through,
Yeah.
the things
Oh,
we
yeah.
went through, the things
Mhm.
that made us stronger,
Yeah,
right? That tried to
what
defeat us.
relationships would be a
Yeah,
great thing, or employers. I mean, we get all these scars. There are obviously emotional and mental scars that
yeah.
may be even more important than a physical scar.
Yeah, that line to me really does something. We're alive because of the scars we've gone through, and you're really not living, like you said.
Mhm.
Like to really live, you're gonna have scars.
Mhm.
If you're
Right.
living and you don't have
Yeah. I
any
mean,
scars, then
it'd
you're
be
not
kind of
really living.
boring if we didn't,
It
right?
would be very boring. It would be, yeah, it'd be really boring. So when it comes to your podcast, this is
Mhm.
something that I find interesting. So you're closing in on 900 episodes. What
Actually,
year?
more than that. I did 933 a couple days ago.
Okay, so you're closing in on 1,000 episodes.
Mhm.
When did you start it?
It's been a little over 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it started initially because I was somebody else's guest, and I went, "Ooh, this seems like fun. I can do this. I can talk." Right? And, and initially it was about social media, because it was, 10-ish years ago, and that was when social media was really starting to ramp up with being a business tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that for a while, and then transitioned into just making it pretty much a straight business type of podcast. But it's like I can have whoever I want on. So I've
Mm-hmm.
talked to nutritionists, I've talked to mental health people. I talked to one woman who, it was absolutely fascinating. She's an adult now, but she was a victim of child trafficking,
Mm.
and her story was incredible. I mean, you couldn't hear her story without feeling anger, without feeling so sorry, but knowing what she has now done. And she actually uses what she went through to help others. And I had another guest who was a child of, when she was a child, she was sexually abused by her father. And
Mm.
same thing. I mean, what they did to turn their lives around has just been incredible.
It's something that this what the whole point of this podcast is, like
Mhm.
make your mess your message, the
Right.
breakthrough you find in
Mhm.
life, and then people go through such difficult things, and people sometimes get stuck in those things and
Mhm.
never escape those
Right.
things.
Mhm.
But you talk to people who that
Mhm.
thing that would have destroyed somebody
Mhm.
else made them stronger and
Oh, I
helped them to
know.
find that
You know, I
breakthrough.
listen to
It's
their stories
incredible.
and I think I couldn't have done it.
But if you were in their shoes,
Mhm.
you never know. And I love that. I love that. That. To me, that fires me up. It's why I love having these conversations, because
Mhm.
it's such an inspiration to know
Right.
somebody who's gone through something so
Mhm.
difficult and has found the good in
Mhm.
the other end of it. So I'm curious about the podcast for another reason,
Mhm.
like, because of podcasting there's so many benefits to it. One of the biggest benefits is what you learn about yourself,
Mhm.
and you can really grow from doing it. It
Right.
causes you to listen to people, and it
Mhm.
causes you to grow. So over 900 episodes, you had to have grown. Plus going
Mhm.
through. So you started it 10 years ago. You've been going through this battle with cancer for 8 years. They've kind of like gone neck and neck with
Mhm.
each other.
Right.
How has the podcast caused you to grow, and how has it helped you to live more of your life instead of just being alive?
Right. Well, first of all, I talk to cool people. I mean, you know, I get to interview some of the coolest people in the world, and I learn something every single time, even
Mm,
if it's a topic that I've talked about with other guests, or maybe, you know, if I'm talking marketing, I'm a marketing person, but I still learn something every single time. And to me, that's what makes it worth it, you know. So you know, I'm hoping that my listeners or my viewers are also learning as I'm learning. One of the things that it did, is it does give me something to focus on and to keep
mhm,
thinking, okay, I'm having a bad day, but I got to hit that 1,000 episode mark, right? You know, and there was only about a 7 week period of time where we ran best ofs because I was in a hospital bed and, you
mm.
know, wasn't going to happen that I was going to be recording interviews. So, you know, we did that. But once I was able to get back on my feet and, be talking, you know, because you're sitting here, right? It's not like it's real hard work. Um, and so once I was able to start doing that again, that gave me I hate to say a reason to live because that sounds kind of funny, but it did give me something to do and something to focus on.
Sure. Yeah. I give you some purpose too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm just going to piggyback on top of that, like the benefits. And that's why I talk to people about starting a podcast, because just the benefits of knowing
Mhm.
how to have a conversation,
Right.
like, and actively listen to
Mhm.
somebody and be able to listen well enough to ask good questions
Mhm.
that come along with that. There's so much growth involved in that,
Right.
that we all would benefit from it.
Mhm.
So I encourage anybody to try it out, just so you get better at having
Mhm.
conversations, because it creates that in you. And
Right.
there's a question I want to ask you, and we're gonna jump in just for a second here to shout out to the sponsor, the Connected Leaders Academy. But when we
Cool.
come back, I want to ask you about the storm and the warrior, because
Mhm.
I love this quote that you live by, and we're going to talk about the storm and the warrior and what that means to you in just 1 second. But let's get a shout out right now to the CLA.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So I love, Deb, when people have quotes they live by or sayings they live by, because when you can like boil down what you do and who you are into a quote, it's just amazing. Like, it gives like us a
Mhm.
definition of what our life's all about. And when I asked you this question, you said, "Fate tells the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The warrior responds, I am the storm."
Mhm.
What does that quote mean to you?
Well, it's funny. It was sent to me, or I read it fairly early in my cancer journey, and you know, like you know, I love it. I love that thought that we are the warriors. I actually have it tattooed on my arm, and it's right where I can see it when I'm at the doctor, when I'm, you know, doing whatever. It's right there. I can put my other hand on it. But to me, it shows that we, and I tell people I'm not a survivor. I'm not a patient. Ugh, I hate that word. I'm a warrior because this is a battle. It's a battle for our lives. And what's more important is we have to really be thinking about who's in our tribe. Warriors do not stand alone. We have to build our tribe of people who are going to support us through this, whether it's our medical people, our family, our coworkers, our friends, whoever it is. We've got to build the strongest tribe we possibly can. And it's interesting because so many people, we go through this alone. Nobody else was getting poked, prodded, all that good stuff. But we should not be alone. We need people around us. And that's where, in many cases, you mentioned faith. That's where someone's faith comes in. I've had people who have had me on their prayer lists for 8 years. Bless them. I mean, I think that is just the most wonderful thing in the world. And, some of the greatest gifts I got were from people that were a very faith oriented thing. I have prayer shawls that people had made for me. I'm not overly religious, but I still appreciate the thought. I mean, I just think that's so cool. But yeah, our tribe has got to be there to support us. And the interesting thing is sometimes our tribe are totally different people than we would have expected. I had people who, when I first, knew what was going to happen, dropped off the face of the earth. I mean, like people who had been friends for over 20 years, gone. I don't know why. I don't know if they couldn't deal with it, if they, if it meant that they were going to have to think about their own mortality, whatever it was. Okay, well, now obviously that friendship was just run its course. Other people who I didn't even think knew I existed have been some of my biggest supporters. And, I think that's the thing is we have absolutely got to build our tribes. And the important thing is don't wait until you have something like cancer to build your tribe. Build those people around you now, because we all need support on occasion. We all have, bad days for, business, personal, whatever it is. Get your tribe around you now. Don't wait until maybe it's too late to do it.
Yeah, because absolutely. To have that support system built in at all times is just incredible. And it's interesting that you said that people come into your life, into your tribe that you don't expect to be there. That you never. This has happened to me recently in the past couple of years. That people have come into my life. I'm like, it was not even on my radar. Was not even like a thought that I had, or I didn't expect this kind of person to come into my life. But they've come in and like embraced me completely and changed my life and made it so much better. And so we can have a preconceived notion of like who we fit in with, who we're supposed to be with. And we can box ourselves out of having amazing people in our life who want to come in and help us and serve us. And it's especially like today, right? You hear about the echo chambers online and people only listening to people they agree with. Like you can have an amazing people, and you need amazing people in your life who think differently than you.
Right.
And I think we're afraid these days of having that sort of company around us because it's going to challenge us, but we need to be challenged. And it seems like you're somebody who needs to be challenged. What challenges you? What is it that in life lights you up as a great challenge?
Sometimes it's getting through the day. I'll just be honest. I'm like, but I did start the initiative trying not to die.live. And that's my passion right now, is to really be able to help others who are on this journey. Excuse me. When they took my thyroid gland out, they tweaked my vocal cords. And I was like, y'all know what I do for a living, right?
I have 900 episodes
and
of a podcast.
So, I'm still kind of the teenage boy whose voice is changing. But, it is one of those things where, how can I help others? That is my passion right now. And now let's be honest, it's also professional. I mean, I have to pay the bills. So I have wonderful clients that I work with, and, it's just great to get through each day.
Yeah, that's a great answer actually, because just the trials of life can really be the challenge that you need.
Right. How do you get unstuck?
Going. How do you just keep persevering, keep pushing forward. Life's going to hand you difficult things. My mentor, Ray, always says this, and it's so true. And I try to get closer to it every day. But life is going to give you situations that don't seem good. How
Mhm.
can you find the blessing
Right.
in everything that happens to you? Because in everything that happens to you is a blessing if you can
Mhm.
find it. If you can
Right.
look for it hard enough and
Mhm.
you can rewire how you look at
Mhm.
the world and how you look at problems,
Right.
man, it makes you so
Maybe you
resilient
get
and
a
so
better
strong.
job, a better partner, all of those various things.
Yeah, and the resiliency that's built in, right? So for you,
Mhm.
I imagine the resiliency for you that has come from all of the struggle you've gone through
Mhm.
over the past 8 years, right? The resiliency that is going to bring different people into your
Mhm.
lives because you think differently, you look at the
Mhm.
world differently, you act differently. Now, different people, better people are going to show up. If you found
Mhm.
that to be true,
Right.
is that
Oh,
something you
yeah,
found to be?
some of the people, I mean, it has been incredible, some of the people that I have met, and I would not have met them if I didn't have cancer.
Yeah, there you go. That's the mess, creating the message, the
Mhm.
curse becoming a gift. Deb, I just want to thank you for coming on. I think that your story it's powerful because it's just proof positive. The perseverance and keeping the positive attitude is everything. And having something to strive after, it's so cool to see. So I love that. And anybody who's checking this out right now, the best places to find you, I know I have your LinkedIn and your
Mhm.
Facebook tagged in
Yep.
this post, but also make
Thank
sure
you.
they go to tryingnottodie.live.
Mhm.
Is there anything you want to leave the audience with as we wrap this episode up?
Well, we can get through anything. We just have to live.
Mm,
And again, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 5 weeks, 50 years. We need to keep going. No matter how hard it is, keep going. And know that there are others out there to support you.
absolutely. Great words to live by. Deb, thank you so much for being a part of
Thank
the
you.
Unstuck movement.